In this video, I'm going to show how I modified my swing case to work with the Thule exporter adjustable racks. When I purchased this swing case, uh, it was expensive. It was about $200, pretty much the price of a truck box. But I liked the idea and the functionality. Wanted to clear all the clutter out of my cab, so I bought this, not realizing that I had an adjustable rack. So I installed it. And this video is not instructional or anything to show you how to install a swing case. There's many of those out there. But after I installed it, I realized that it does not work because the racks are in the way. The swing case was designed to work with tonneau covers, but not an adjustable roof or adjustable rack. So here it is, the rack's in the way. So if you're thinking of purchasing a swing case and you have one of these adjustable racks, you might want to rethink, as it'll take away the function of the adjustable rack. Now the swing case still works, you just have to put it in the upright position. And I don't like the look when the rack is high. I like to travel with it in the low position because it looks better, and when needed, raise it to the height needed. So here I raise the rack and you can see it works perfectly fine. However, you got this rack sticking way up there in the air and it just doesn't match the car, or it's just not a look I like. So either we adjust the swing case to fit to work with the rack, or we leave the rack up. And leaving the rack up is not an option. So we're gonna modify this case to work with the rack in its lowered stored position. So first we're gonna bring the rack down to about the height I want to leave it at. And then we're going to see how much we have to move the case while still keeping its functionality. So this is about where I want the rack in its unused position, which is pretty much most of the time. So we're going to have to move the rack or the bracket out to about there. When I measured this, it's about 1.5 inches. So we're going to have to move the bracket out at least 1.5 inches. I decided on 2 inches. You'll see why later. 2 inches, you can buy stock in 2 inches. Makes things a lot easier. So first we need to figure out how we're going to make the hinge. I have some 1/2 inch bar stock, round steel. We're just going to trim it down a little bit so it fits in the hinge. Just speed up this section here. So once we get that fitting in there, we just need to make 2 of those. So for now, we're just gonna cut off a piece so we can make the other one, make 2 identical ones. Actually, we'll make one longer. Make the bottom one longer than the top one. That way it's easier to put the case or back in. And we can align the bottom hinge first and then the top. Next, we need a piece of metal to bring it out 2 inches. This is a 2-inch angle iron. However, since we have to bring it out 2 inches, it's not quite going to be enough to attach to the bracket. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off about 1.75 inches on this side, take 1.75 inches on the other side, we'll weld it together so we have about a 3-inch plate. That way we have 1 inch to bolt it to the bracket, and the 2 inches we need to extend it out. We'll just speed this up here a little bit too. So once we got this bracket, all we have to do was cut out that notch and weld those little hinge tabs on there. There's the second piece. We welded it on. Oh, not yet. Okay, once we got it all together, we'll just clamp it on, check the fit. The fit's pretty good. It's exactly 2 inches extended out now. Now we're just drilling through the original bracket and the adapter piece. And we'll just bolt it right on. Now the camera kind of died and it missed the next section. We brought out the rear section of the bracket out 2 inches. So we have to extend the latch section 2 inches, but using this GoPro here, the screen goes off after so many seconds and you don't know if it's recording or not. So apparently it went off. I guess my battery died and it shut off. So it missed a section, but a little later on, after we get this adjusted, I'll get a closer look and explain that portion. But for now, once we bolt it on there, we just drilled some holes, put some stainless steel 10/32 screws in there, little lock washer and washer, and we bolted it together. So right there, oh, we got to adjust it. It still retains the same adjustment functionality as the original. So we gotta drop it just a little. This allows you to align the latch mechanism with the hinge. So now we're swinging straight there. Okay, now let's take a look at that section down there. Okay, here's the piece I made that off camera when it was dead. It's just a standard stock 2-inch square bar. Just cut off a piece. I didn't really measure it, so 4 inches or whatever it is. And it's bolted onto the original bracket. And tack welded a couple of 1/4 bolts onto that stock so it resembled the original bracket. Those are the original nuts. And we just moved that latching mechanism onto that bar stock. So basically we just moved it out 2 inches to match the 2-inch extension on the rear of the hinge. So now the whole box is pushed out 2 inches further from the sidewall. I lost 2 inches of bed space, but oh, here it is. We're pointing out the bottom is a little longer than the top, showing you how it's just easier to, when you reinstall it, to align the bottom hinge first and then drop it on the top hinge second. Made it a little easier. So now the rack's in the lower position. It just looks much better than it just sticking way up in the air. So it had to be modified this way, or I probably wouldn't have used it with the racks way up. Now we're just giving it some protection. Spraying with some black spray paint or some kind of undercoating material. Make sure you clean out the metal shavings. A white truck with metal shavings is very bad. You have rust stains all over your paint. we got a little bit more clearance now, so we can open this up a lot farther than original because we have the extra 2 inches. Still looks the same, still underbed profile from the back and the sides. Just the 2 inches I lost, but really, maybe the reason I bought it is because I knew if I needed the bed, I just lift it right out and chuck it in the cab and you got the whole bed. It's only a 5-foot bed, so 2 inches lost is not gonna be a deal breaker. Now we just have to make a way to secure it with security feature. We lost the security feature when he moved it out 2 inches. Could have easily just bolted on another piece of bar and stuck it out that same original hole. So you could put the padlock on, but I didn't like that design. If you locked it, anytime you wanted to swing it out, you'd have to unlock it. It just seemed too much trouble. So I wanted to make a system where I could leave it locked and swing it in and out. So this is just steel cable. It's not the most secure. I mean, anyone with walking around with a set of cable cutters in their back pocket can cut it off. However, it's just a deterrent. Any determined thief will take it anyway. So it's just trying to deter that occasional thief or the opportunistic thief. So we're just testing out the full range, make sure it opens all the way. So this will work for now. It's just put a lock on there. Well, gotta paint it. We just put the lock on there. We can leave the lock on all the time and open and close up. There's my padlock. It's not exactly quite done yet. I got one more piece to do. I'm gonna extend that release lever, that lever right there with that yellow rubber thing on it. I'm gonna bring that out about 2 inches. That way, if you lock the tailgate shut, you cannot release that lever. Therefore, you cannot release the latch. That'll add another deterrent factor, make it a little more difficult for someone to steal. That's probably tomorrow. We'll work on it another day. It's not very high on the list, but we'll get around to that. But that should pretty much conclude the modification. So if you're thinking about getting a SwingCase and really like the idea or design, but you have something in the way like this, you could probably do something very similar.